And now, boys on film watch 5,000 watts. Thomas Black,
What
Rap
it do?
Jeezy. Hey
What's happening?
guys, how are you?
What's up, fellas?
Hey, buddies, how you doing?
Chilling,
Yeah,
man.
welcome back, Slim.
Yeah, man.
Slim
I
with the
needed a
crisp
little
pack
respite
this
from the
week
show
in,
and
week
from
out.
life. I went out into the woods with my wife and we chopped wood and did some things.
Oh man, how
Had
was
fun.
that?
It was
Well,
fun.
only you.
It was fun. Like, there's some things I can and cannot say, but we had a really good time. So it was all good, man. Celebrating accomplishment. How was your vacation, Thomas?
Hey man, excellent. Everything was absolutely great, man. It's always cool to be able to, spend some time with the family, show your daughter something different, man. I can't complain, man. I'm just glad I survived. I still got some money left.
I was going to ask you, how's your bank account doing, man?
I still got some money left. But it's still paradise, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
how was y'all weekend? What y'all do? Watching Jackson State all weekend?
Yeah, I watched the series this weekend.
Yeah. It wasn't definitely paradise for like one school. We kind of hold dear to our hearts as we recap the weekend. Couple series of notes that had our interest. We're gonna start off with you see on the screen there a lot of sweeps this past weekend, and one involving the Alabama State Jackson State series, where Alabama State took all three games from Jackson to propel themselves in the first place in the SWAC East. I know Ralph and Watts, you guys watched that series pretty closely. What happened, man? How did Alabama State come away with the series victory convincingly in that one?
Game one, it was basically going into the bottom of the fourth inning. It was a 1-1 game, and Alabama State had a big inning. They kind of blew the game open, and after that, they scored a couple times later in the sixth inning and in the eighth inning. But it was a very close game. It was a good pitcher's duel between Breon Pooler and Juan Marilonda in game one. And we had Jackson State had the runners on first and second, I want to say in the third inning, and they didn't get a run out of that. The next three guys got out, and after that, the offense kind of stalled a little bit in game one. But Breon Pooler was just plugged along, man. He threw competitive pitches. He didn't strike out a lot of guys. He made them put the ball in play. He didn't walk many guys. He just put the ball right there for the set. He pitched the contact in game one, and they came out with the win, 12-2 in game one.
Yeah, that's true. And see, Puller, he went all the complete game. Went a complete game, only 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, but allowed 8 hits. Like you said, Rafa, he gave them opportunity to put the ball in play. It's just it was solid defense because during that whole time, that whole game one, Alabama State had no errors. So compared to Jackson State's two, and then rolling in the game two and game three, it's just the offense wasn't quite there for us. But you had good pitcher performance for Alabama State, and you had in game three Menendez came in and pitched basically a inning and 1/3. Was able to get 2 strikeouts and 2 walks, but was able to earn the win and kind of shut down any kind of offensive momentum Jackson State was trying to get that game three. I say the hitter for that series was Jameson uh, Turner. He went 5 for 11, had 3 RBIs. So it's just it was a heartbreaking series loss for us, I say. But Alabama State definitely took the Kings on the hill as far as pitching for this series and was able to shut down the offense.
Right. You also had the usual suspects for Alabama State with Hunter May, Adriel Jimenez, and Corey King. Those
Hmm.
guys have been kind of pacing Alabama State all year, and they just kind of continued to do their thing this weekend. But at the same time, Ty Hill and I want to say Javantes Melton, the leadoff batter for Jackson State, Jalen Williams and Elrico Riley, those guys also had decent weekends, but it's just about being consistent and putting together the big inning. And I think that's been the one thing we haven't been able to do this year, just consistently put together that big inning. The pitching has been there. We've led the SWAC in terms of ERA, the conference for the majority of the season until the last couple of weeks. So it's just a matter of the consistency with the runs and the offense, and I think you will see some difference with this team.
Yeah, and you made a good point there, Ralph, earlier before we even started the show about Jackson State not being able to have that multiple run inning. They will get runners on base, but in the Alabama State series, it's kind of been indicative like all year. Hitters aren't patient at the plate. They're chasing a lot of pitches. And when they do make contact, it's normally weak contact. It doesn't move runners or doesn't drive runs in. And so that was indicative of this series. And there's a stands right now. Jackson State, a team that did not lose a game in the SWAC last season, is currently 1-8 in the conference, which is tied for the worst record in the conference with Alcorn State, who has only won one game all season. So let's talk a little bit about why we think Jackson State has struggled so mightily this season. We've observed them from afar and a couple games up close. What have you guys seen in terms of like how they played that kind of can explain their slow start to the season?
Well, it's a new team.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Ty's back, Melton is back. The rest, your catchers, Rodriguez and Marshall. Other than that, you have a new team out there. So
Mhm.
that's a part of it. Injury or two here and there is that's that's the name of the game. Sometimes it's in the breaks and just not getting the breaks. That's all I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's hard to see, but I credit a lot of it to the injuries that we're experiencing right now. I think the team is just is still trying to find its groove. Out of conference, our records look good. It's just in conference, that play that SWAC play is different. Once you jump into the conference again in the middle of the season, you got to get your body conditioned to the point where and not only your body but your mind as well, because it's like a routine thing. So I have hope that they go get it together. Man, definitely, they go get it together. Like you said, Ralph, they're a young team, and to be honest, man, this year ain't no watch. They still got a whole second half of the conference play
Right.
to go through, and ain't no telling what happened. 'Cause
Right.
it's
It's a lot of
swag,
time
baby.
left.
Yep, it's swag, baby. So yeah, let's go. Just say we got this. Let's go.
I mean, that, like you said, we can say that that it's a new team and everything like that. It just it's a unique year as a whole. Like I've been saying it all year. We're seeing things that we don't normally see. Like I said, inconsistencies with Jackson State. There's not really a real dominant team. But like I said, you got plenty of time. The thing about it is we don't care about records when you're in the SWAC championship game. It don't matter what you did before that. You can have a losing record and have a run. You win the SWAC. Who cares? So that's the mentality I have as looking at the season. I'm always optimistic. I'm always thinking positive, but I'm also, I'm a realist. I just hope they find a way to figure out how to win together by tournament time. You might can have the pitching, you know, you want your pitching right, but you also don't want to put everything on the pitchers. You know, you got to give them some support. And like I said, seems like with the low scoring that the pitchers don't have that much run support. So if we're gonna lean on our pitching, let's just make sure the defense is tight and everything like that. Make the routine plays, and I think we'll be okay. But if you know, it's a lot of good teams this year, man. There's not a dominant team, so that's another thing they have to deal with too. They're not the only kid on the block. They're not the. So let's just we're gonna pray on it, man. That's what we're gonna do. You know, good luck all to them and everything, and hope everything turns around for them for tournament time, and we see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean Jackson State, they have the second best ERA as a team in the SWAC behind Alabama State. At
Right.
just a little bit over 5 runs given up per game. Um, Offensively, they're in the middle of the pack in the SWAC, hitting 266 as a team, which for college baseball is significantly low, especially with a team that hit so well last season and produced so many runs last season. And a lot of that, as we mentioned before, probably has to do with just the length of the lineup, not what it was last season, a lot of turnover in that regard, and inconsistency with moving base runners, getting timely hits, working counts, things of that nature. You hope 9 games into the conference season, you will see a turnaround, but it can get pretty late early, and so when you're starting out 1-8, you're gonna have to make up a lot of ground, and so right now, as it stands here on Wednesday night. Um, Jackson State is 6 games behind Alabama State and Bethune-Cookman in the loss column. So they're going to have some ground to make up. They're going to have to take series from those two teams as the season comes along, and also got to be mindful that Florida A&M is still pretty good, and Mississippi Valley State has stuck up on some people this year. So it's going to be a challenge to get back to where they were last year for sure.
And check it out, Slim. The thing about it is that teams get up to play Jackson State, and players coming in might not understand that right now. Or we don't. We just picking straws and seeing what's going on. We don't really know what the team's thinking, but a lot of teams find a lot of joy in beating Jackson State. Just like in basketball, everybody's going to get up to play LeBron. Everybody's going to get up to play, Golden State just because of what they were. So everybody gets up to play Jackson State, and the team's got to be able to withhold that level of intensity with other teams.
Right.
Yeah, like on the other end of the spectrum, you got a traditional SWAC power in Southern University who came into last weekend scuffling. They ended up sweeping Texas Southern in a 3-game series. A TSU team that had been hitting the ball pretty well throughout the first half of the season, and then go in and take 3 games from those guys as was what was a measuring stick for that program. So guys, like, what do you make of that development in that series? Southern going and sweeping away Texas Southern.
Pitching in game 1. The starter for Southern in game 1, Jose Battaglia, gave you 8 innings, only walked 1, struck out 4, gave up 3 hits. Although he gave up 3 runs, they were all unearned, but it was pitching. It was pitching. He stopped those guys from getting on base. He cooled off Gabe Vasquez, who was 0 for 4 in the game. You also had the 2 guys that lead the nation in stolen bases, Jonathan Thomas and Justin Cooper, who both were 0 for in game 1. Like he kept the guys that are the movers and shakers in their offense. He stopped them from getting on base, and that makes a difference. The guy on the bump, it makes a difference. And in game 2, it was more of the same thing. It was more pitching. And this time Southern bats exploded in the second game. But in game 2, you had a similar performance from Antonio Fidanza. He gave you 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. And the biggest thing is the lack of walks. It's the lack of the walks. and they scored 14 runs. So, and again, Gabe Vasquez was over. So, you only that makes a difference. Pitching. Pitching. And in the third game, it was a 1-run game that Southern won 10-9. And it just came down to Southern basically scoring every inning from the fourth to the eighth inning to get it into extra innings, and they won it in 10th. So, but pitching was the difference in the Southern and the Southern and Texas Southern game. Those two starters for Southern, that was the difference.
Yeah, that's true. And see, and to go back to game three, you had Ozar that came in for Southern for the last game. I mean, the last 3 innings and recorded 4 strikeouts. I mean, that's basically was the man that they put in the game. He slammed the door. He was able to hold them off so they could complete that sweep, and then it just it, I think the whole series, I think Southern was able to identify some of their performers. Because also at the plate, this guy he even started the first game, so I don't know if he wasn't even in the box scores. But Jalen Armstrong, he came in the second game, game two, he went 4 for 3, and then game three he went 3 for 3. So kid was on fire. I don't know where he came from. He had 3 RBIs the whole series, and basically out hit everybody else that was starting before him, basically. So I think Southern was able to identify some more of their players that could step up for them in important games and important innings, and they were able to build a lot of confidence off of this sweep and well earned, but definitely based off the pitching and what they was able to produce at the plate.
Right.
Yeah, so like on the other end of the spectrum, like what do we kind of learn about Texas Southern? I mean, as I mentioned before, they had came into the series playing pretty good baseball over these last couple of weeks, and this was their test. This was a division game against a rival, and they got swept. Does this say anything about what we may have thought of them before the season started, or in the midst of their streak in the middle of the conference play and non-conference play? Do we learn anything about Texas Southern that we didn't already know?
I mean, we was just playing the waiting game. We didn't know if they was gonna be
Mhm.
legit or not. Each week we was
Yeah.
like, are they legit? Who have they played? All those things. Each week in and week out, we've been looking at it. But when are we gonna finally say that they are legit, or they just like everybody else beating up on each other? But does that make them legit? I think everybody's legit, all the way down to Valley. You catch them on the right day, but you catch them on the wrong day, don't get the mess beat out of them.
Mhm.
So
Right.
how do you rate that?
I think Southern just had their number this weekend,
Yeah.
and it's all about how they bounce back this week um, in their series against Prairie View. So we'll get to see, if they have some Baton Rouge hangover, if they knocked it off, knocked the haze off, and going out there to compete. Because this week we have a lot of border and in-state rivalries.
Oh man,
Yeah. Very entertaining. This is rivalry week, basically.
You can call it that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there was also another intriguing series, non-SWAC series, non-Division One series that took place between Miles and Savannah State. And Savannah State did what Savannah State does. They swept another series. That's 6 straight series sweeps for them to start the season for them. They've in first place by a lot in their division right now. Um, does this series only enhance what we already thought of Savannah State as them being the predominant team in the SIAC?
Yeah, Miles was on a 13-game win streak. Um,
Hmm.
they were playing some good baseball coming into the weekend. They were also one of the in the standings, one of the top teams, along with Albany State and Savannah State. And I did not expect. I expected Savannah State to win the series, but I didn't expect them to sweep it.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't
last two
expect that.
games, Savannah State scored a combined 24 runs in that series.
So what does that say about the league? Like, what does that say? You know, is it saying that is Savannah State just that much above the rest, or is the league not as good as we thought it was?
Now, Savannah State, they did game one was 9-5, game two was 3-1, and the last game it was 12-1. It's it's Savannah State's lineup. They're a complete team. You know, they have five guys on their team that are hitting over 350, have over 35 hits, and have scored over 25 runs. That's gonna be hard to beat. I'm sorry. That's
But
that's that's solid.
but are the teams? Would you say the teams are legit enough to validate who they are as players?
They can't do nothing about the other teams and what the other coaches went out and recruited. You know what I'm
I mean, I
saying?
understand that. Yeah,
They
true.
they just they Coach Hardy has done a great job putting that team together for this year. Um, they man, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they might win the Black Collar World Series.
I would love to see that.
I agree.
Like I'm
Hmm.
serious, man. Like, tell me another team, and and I'm not just saying this because you see it every week. How hard is it to sweep six consecutive weekends? That's 18 games in a row in conference. That is hard. I don't care what level of baseball it is, whether it's high school, little league, um, perfect game. Winning 18 games in a row in conference is hard. You have to have a lot of things going your way. And right now they have a lot of things going their way. So as long as they can sustain this, they have the starting pitching, they have the offensive depth. Like, you man, put it to you like this: teams cannot come out and make mistakes or have a bad pitching performance or a slow day at the plate and expect to beat them in a conference game. It's not gonna happen. Because there's no letdown from Jose Santiago in game one all the way through with Enrico to Jared Showalter at the end. Like, I think they've had like 4 or 5 situations where those three guys themselves have won this conference pitcher of the week.
Right.
And they're ranked in the top 10 in the D2 South region. So,
Yeah,
I'm
but to
waiting
be
to see
fair,
the series with them in Albany State toward
yeah,
the
to
Yeah,
end of
be
the
that's
fair
in
to like
two
the conference
2 weeks,
strength,
man.
I mean like Albany State has 20 wins. Spring Hill College has 20 wins. Miles, who was just on a 13-game winning streak, has 18 wins. So I mean, it's not like they're playing against tomato cans every
No, they're
weekend. They're playing
not.
against some really good teams in their league, but they just have been superior, and it shows the depth of time they have on their pitching staff and within their lineup too to be able to continue to win these series the way they've won them.
Exactly, man. So
That's true.
I
I
want I
mean,
like
You
what I'm
get a
seeing
chance, people go watch it.
yeah,
I'm telling you.
yeah.
for
Go see
real.
real baseball. I mean, that the weekend of April the 22nd be highly anticipated, man. And then it's down in Savannah, Georgia. Man, it's just heating up. It really seemed like that right there is probably gonna be SIAC championship because these two teams they are splitting. I mean, along with Spring Hill, but they kind of are dividing themselves from the conference because the bottom half and that top half are that gap getting a little bit bigger. But yeah, they're playing some real good baseball, man. Very good.
Yeah, they've been the most impressive team in the country that we've observed all season long, and they've done nothing just to stray from that. And we think they're gonna win the SIAC and go to postseason play as well. Um, we're gonna transition now. Speaking of great performances, to our players of the week for this past weekend. Um, we have Blair Frederick, Lamar Price, Anthony Dumas, and they all play for Xavier University. Um, these guys combined to go 6 innings, give up 2 hits and strike out 18 over the weekend in their series win. For Grambling State, we have
Oh, let me interject on that, Slim. That was the game they played where they won 39-0. They combined on a 2-hitter in that game.
Mm.
Very good.
Yeah, they combined on a 2-hit, 18 strikeout performance.
no on runs too, very impressive. What was the walk total in that one for them? No walks.
9.
Yeah, that's how you complete a perfect day as a pitching staff right there. 18 strikeouts and no walks and no runs given up. As I mentioned before, Mr. Page for Grambling, complete game, 12 strikeout performance, no earned runs, just 2 hits in his outing this weekend. One of the better performances we've seen all season from a starting pitcher. And then once again, we mentioned this team before, Savannah State. Jared Showalter, another great performance from him. 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, 4 hits, and an earned run over Miles this weekend in their sweep of that series. So once again, another Savannah State player, another great performance from Xavier, and Grambling continue to surprise with the depth of talent they have on their pitching staff. Now we go for the hitters of the week. Out in the MEAC, we have Jordan Hamburg, Coppin State. Another big time weekend for him. 10 runs batted in, 8 hits. Yeah, he also scored 10 runs, hit 2 home runs, and he had a batting average of 381 over the weekend. That is one of the best. 10 RBIs is one of the best performances we've seen all year from anybody that we've covered so far. Jakir Parker, Grambling State, he hit 500, scored 9 runs, drove in 3, hit 500 for Grambling State. And Kentucky State's Dom Lawson, 667, 6 RBIs, and 5 runs batted in. Now, I want to go back to Jordan Hamburg here. 10 RBIs in a weekend. How impressive is that, guys?
Extremely impressive. You got to be consistent, man. And not only that, he had 10 strikeouts and 6 2/3 as well. In his start.
Man.
Man.
He's actually named. He may be the best two-way player between him and Shamar Page so far. From what I've seen, those 2 guys may be the best two-way players in HBCU baseball.
I know Hamburg name comes up all the time.
Huh?
Hamburg always come up.
Yeah, he was actually named to the. We'll talk about that in the next segment on the watch list that Jordan was named to. It's a National Award watch list he was named to.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just amazing that to do that on the weekend, like 10 RBIs, no matter what level that is in the weekend, is impressive nonetheless.
Right, and Mr. Parker, that's Gremlin's leadoff batter, so he set the table for him this weekend.
Yeah, so we're gonna debut right now a new feature, a new segment to our show. It's based on statistics, and baseball is saturated with statistics. It's a game of stats, and we're gonna provide one for you for this week based on what happened last week. In terms of a great performance, and we go to Benedict College out of the SIAC, Brandon O'Connor. He stole 64 bases in 30 games. He's also stolen a base in 28 of the last 30 games. And he also has a 483 batting average on the year. So he clearly is Benedict's best player.
Right. He's actually on pace to break the Division II record of, I think it's 95 or 96 in a season. So he's on pace to break that record.
So, guys, like, what do you think about this? Like, a guy on pace to steal over 100 bases this season, and baseball over the last decade or so has gotten away from the stolen base a little bit, more so relying on the power game. Small ball really isn't part of the game at least the highest of levels. So, what do you think about a guy like Mr. O'Connor here being such a threat on the base pass?
The man had 8 stolen bases in a game this year, so. And if he's running, it's just a matter of
Yeah.
when. So it's gonna always be a chess match. As a pitcher, if you sitting there trying to do a slide step with him, you might mess around and leave some up over the plate. And it's gonna be, as Thomas like to say, it's between me and you. Okay, it's over. But having a threat like this on your team, man, it does so much for your offense. It puts a lot of stress on pitchers, the defense. I would love to see him play just to see how he makes the defense have to adjust to him
Hey,
because
watch
he's
this.
hitting 483. So it's like, do you walk him? Do you pitch to him? It's like it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah. So watch as a former college catcher, like you have a guy who is definitely a base threat. Like how do you? What's your sequencing like? Like how do you pitch to him as a batter, and if he gets on base, like what are you calling behind the plate to try to maybe, or what strategy are you using to try to maybe to combat his ability to steal bases?
I think for one, you gotta just come fastball, fella. We know he
High
gonna
and
run
outside. High
hide
and
outside.
outside.
You out pitches some. At this point, I would like to even just sit down and talk to him and be like, man, what are you reading off the pictures? Because he can give a class, man. But yeah, it's more so ain't the next batters not seeing no off speed. The same way we used to attack teams. We attack them with speed, make them throw the fastball. Because if not, we gonna take the base. What you can do about it? Nothing. Because I mean, your pitcher too slow to the delivery to the plate. And if you leave something up, that thing to the wall to the fence. So it's a dilemma. He just needs a supporting cast around him. And Benedict is, I'm not sure what year the young man is, but he's a extreme talent. When you able to spend 8 bases in the game, I don't care if half of them pass balls or anything, or if it's just nobody decided to throw at you. It don't matter. That's 8 in a game. That's
Right.
a confidence builder, and just saying that, hey man, I can do whatever I want to in this league right here, man. And he's showing it.
No,
I encourage the young man.
he's stealing on everybody. It don't matter who
Yeah,
they
on
play.
everybody.
He's
Yeah,
stealing on
man.
everybody.
Now, as
Man.
the batter after him, I would like to see the stats on the batter after him and see what
Yeah.
kind of stats he got because as a batter, if you got a leadoff batter, like I hit 2, 3, 4 between 3 and 5 most of my career in baseball. I've always had a speedster in front of me. Now you always got to be good with 2 strikes because you got to give him one to take second, and if he taking third, sometimes you got to take another pitch, let him have third too, just to get that RBI, or you get a pop up. So, I'll be interested to see how many strikeouts or how many walks that the next batter have, as far as how they capitalizing off him stealing bases.
Right.
Yeah, this is very impressive for Brandon O'Connor to have 64 stolen bases in 30 games this year. Now we're going to move on to Texas Southern. Jonathan Thomas and Justin Cooper. They are leading the nation in stolen bases at the Division I level. Thomas has 36 and Cooper has 24. So we got 2 base thieves on the same team. So that obviously causes havoc for pitching staffs all around the SWAC, trying to contain both of those guys.
Think about it. They have the same number of stolen bases combined that the other young man has by himself.
Hmm.
Right.
I mean, today's standard, if you got over 15 stolen bases, you are considered elite. You know what I'm saying?
15.
15, man.
I had
Hey,
15.
I
I had
it's a
15.
different time now, Ralph.
I
It's a
had
different time.
15.
It's a different time. Look,
And
dude got 24 and he leading the nation.
huh?
I said, dude got 24 and he's one of the base still leaders.
It's 2 months into the season though. But you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like based off baseball standards now, if you got 20 stolen bases, you are considered elite. So I just hope it's a good trend. They get back to playing baseball the way it's supposed to be, you know. At least we do in the swag. They do still a lot of bases play real baseball, you know, that gorilla ball stuff don't really work in college too much.
Yeah. Savannah State, as you see on the screen there, has 5 hitters batting over 350 with at least 35 hits and 25 runs scored.
Golly,
And they
man.
include Joe Smith, average name but big stats. Champion Robbins hitting 384. Gabriel Paxtot hitting 384 as well. Dwayne Franklin 360. Cameron Diaz hitting 357. All these guys are putting up big stats, and they're a reason why Savannah State's 18-1 at conference play and en route to win their league. This explains it all right here, folks, right in front of the screen here. So yeah, what do you make of this murderer's roll of Savannah State Sluggers?
They
Pick
all
your
on one
poison.
accord, man. Yeah, they
Pick
all
your
on one
poison.
accord. Who you want to pitch to? It don't matter.
And they probably pick each other up a lot too. When you got
Yeah,
a cluster right there, that's probably like you said, batters 1 through 7. You know,
That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
right?
Like seriously, Joe Smith is the lead off, and they all follow just right behind each other.
So
So
one don't hit the other one. The other one's gonna pick up what he
yeah.
don't hit. Just like when I line up, you know, if anybody left on the base by the time it get to me, I'm happy.
I'm telling you, this dang yeah, man. That's good. That's I don't care
That's
what level of
dangerous.
baseball you on. You get guys that produce like that, you're gonna be hard to beat.
Hmm.
Yeah, like all you guys were hitters. I was a pitcher. So when you're part of a lineup like this one here, like how much easier is it to hit when you know like you got a guy in front of you and guys behind you who are producers?
It's fun. It's easy. It's stressless. It's no stress. I can go up there and say, all right, I can go up here and look for a pitch, having that bat. Okay, I didn't get the job done. It's okay. Thomas behind me, he'll get it done. So now I'm going back out there. Instead of me having that internal battle in my head about not getting what I had done, now I'm going back to the dugout, or I'm crossing him, going to the batter's box, saying, hey man, let's go pick me up. It's a totally different mindset when you know you got dudes in the lineup that say, okay, if I didn't get it done, all right, he behind me, he got my back. It's a whole different feeling. That stress is gone. That internal battle that you taking back out on defense, where you may make a mental error on defense, you know what I'm saying, and make a mistake, that's gone. So
And
I think it's for me personally, I like having guys behind me that I knew could pick me up because it takes that stress off. And it's like, all right, bet I didn't get it done. I don't have to beat myself up because I know the guy behind me is gonna do it.
yeah, like I said, man, I'm always happy if somebody left on, just so I can eat a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you got to think about it. You know, when you got multiple players hitting back to back in the first couple of innings, you know what type of pitcher you're gonna have. Is he gonna be on, or are we gonna run through him? You know, you're gonna know just based off how he go through the lineup. You know, you get to see what type of pitchers he got. If we jump on him early, you know, he gonna start going to the off speed. You know,
And the piggyback off of that too, Thomas, I can just recall when we were rolling, when we were playing, how much we communicated with each other about, let's say a Carl gets on. Carl might be on first base, but he didn't found a way to communicate with us back in the dugout what the pitcher doing, the
right?
velocity, the type of break on the pitches, how much is moving. Like he didn't already send all that back to the dugout to us, and we sitting there like, I bet Carl
I
said the
bet.
velocity. You know what I'm saying? He didn't give you a little symbol like, hey, what the velocity like? He can give you a little symbol for the velocity. You know, he gave you something else for the break. If it move, if it doesn't move, if the fastball flat, he didn't communicated all of that back to us. And the other team has no idea what's even going on. So now the one on deck and in the hole, you sitting there saying, hey man, did you pick up on what he told us? So now when you come back to bat, you tell the next person, hey man, yeah, he did that with Carl, but he did this with me. So then that's letting you know that they ain't doing the same thing with everybody. So you got to watch it, because some teams would do that because it's called, they have a scouting report. Only some teams are crazy to stick to their philosophy of throwing everybody fastballs away, you know, but hey, but in a lineup like this, I bet those guys are having fun. They probably enjoy being around each other. They probably compete with each other. Man, I love to see it. I love to see it.
And like as a pitcher, like seeing a lineup like this that's long in terms of its depth, it puts a lot of stress on you. You really can't pitch the contact. You really got to be careful in the zone. You really can't use like you can't repeat patterns. You can't always rely on your out pitches. You got to be careful with a lineup like this with individual batters. So it just puts a lot of stress on you from a mental and physical standpoint, trying to work through a lineup where you got guys hitting over 350 at almost every spot. We mentioned Jordan Hamburg's big weekend, having 10 runs scored and 10 RBIs. He was named the College Baseball Foundation John Olerud two-way player of the year on their watch list. He's also, as Ralph mentioned, a very good pitcher. He's 3-1 on the mound and hitting .339 at the plate. I don't know why John Olerud was a two-way player. He was the first baseman. But anyway, yeah, but
no. Hey, back in the college,
was a two-way player in college. Yes,
college,
sir.
dog.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
yes, sir.
Okay, I'm thinking of Major League John Olerud. My bad.
Yeah, you think about Major League John Olerud.
That's that Blue Jays Olerud right there.
Yeah.
John Olerud is famous for wearing the batting helmet while playing in the field.
Yeah, he had a medical condition, I think.
Yeah, he did.
Was one of the great first basemen of his time. Very underrated player.
He did play on that 92 team that won the World Series, didn't he?
Yes, he was.
With Joe Carter.
Yeah,
Roberto
with Joe
Alomar.
Carter, yeah. Dave Winfield.
Yeah, they beat Kirby Puckett now. I'm trying to remember.
They beat the
Twins.
No, Braves. Was it no?
They beat the Braves one year and they beat the Phillies the next year.
Yeah. Braves, yeah. I remember the Braves, Joe Carter jumping all the way around the base.
Yeah, because Ricky got traded. Dog, here I am talking like Ricky Henderson. Because, you know, Ricky talking third person because Ricky got traded that year from Oakland to Toronto. Ricky won another World Series. That was flowing through my mind seeing that documentary on MLB Network with Ricky. That man literally talked about himself in third person the whole time. Oh, Ricky still hated bases. All right. And the last one.
Yeah, we know this guy personally. Jackson State head coach Omar Johnson, just 6 wins away from career win number 500. He has 13 30-win seasons, and he has 2 SWAC titles accomplished in 2013 and 2014 and last season. He led Jackson State to an undefeated season in the SWAC. They were literally 1 win away, 2 outs away from going to the NCAA tournament. He's been a fixture for Jackson State ever since we've known him. That's been more than 20 years now. Just consistency when you talk about Omar Johnson, from team to team, from year to year, there really hasn't been very many down seasons, despite the fact this one has gotten up to a slow start for JSU. So winning 500 games as a college coach is a rare feat in the game, regardless of level. And so we're going to give Coach Johnson his flowers right now.
Definitely.
As guys who played for him, we all played under him. How would you describe the people who may not have experienced that, what it was like to play for him?
Man, Coach Johnson was direct, straight to the point. He told you what he needed. He tell you what you need to accomplish. I mean, he just cut and dry, man. He's a player's coach, you know, but he don't bend or break. But he's very disciplined and just to the point of fundamentals. It's stress more than anything, and not just fundamentals on the baseball field, but also fundamentals in life. You know, just keeping things simple is probably the best thing in a lot of aspects. But I learned a lot by not just by his words, but just watching him operate through life, man. Coach Johnson was there for all of us through a lot of situations that we don't even talk about on here. Yeah, I remember when we used to stay at this house and everything, bro. So yeah, Coach Johnson been there. I know he's been doing the same thing for every kid, every young man that's been up under him. So yeah, we gotta give him his flowers, man.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a lot of hard work. Um, that's the number one thing. It's gonna be, what time practice is gonna be. You know what time weights are gonna be. You know what time workouts are gonna be, and you know what the expectation is gonna be, and it's gonna be on you to meet that expectation and meet that standard. And there's no compromise from the standard, and there's no compromise from the expectation. Um, Now that I find myself as a coach, I had that same mindset that is no that you have to have a standard. You have to be the face of your program. He's the first person that practice every day. He the last one to leave. Um, 13, 30 win seasons, that's just as many as Coach Brady and Coach Kadar had. So that speaks a lot to the type of success that he's had um, in the conference. But more importantly is the number of us that's graduated that's come through there. Um, I know both times when I graduated with my undergraduate degree, it was 13 of us that graduated in that ceremony. And when I got my master's, it was me, Watts, Anton. It was like another 7 or 8 of us that graduated with our masters at the same time that same year, even though it was from various universities. But it was always him preaching to us about being good men, you know, and that was the biggest thing that I've taken from him. Just always trying to be a positive influence.
For me, it it was the coaching style. I didn't grow up around too many um, black coaches or baseball coaches. I've only had between him, Coach Salt, and my high school assistant coach. Um, and the connection between Coach Johnson and my high school assistant coach, they was roommates in college, but they came from the same pedigree. So it was kind of easier for me to understand where Coach Johnson was coming from because his roommate, my former high school assistant coach, coached the same way. Like when I got with them, I had to learn how to run. I had to learn how to, at first when you're playing against, you know, in the South, you play against a lot of Caucasians. You're going to be the fastest one on the field. You're going to be the one that's more athletic. But I had to learn how to run properly, and I started in high school, but then I started hearing the same stuff once I got to Jackson State because my JUCO wasn't teaching that, and so it was easy transition. But I like it with me. It was the familiarity of the pedigree where he came from, where he played at, and it trickled down to us and how the style we played because the way we played was how they played in college, and it was fun. Like I said, that was what it was for me was the recognition of the coaching style is different from being coached from a Caucasian coach from a black coach. They taught us speed, how to run, the form, how to get every inch on the steel, how to take advantage of making the right turns when you're running the bases. You know, all those was a little different than coaching style than what I've been familiar with throughout my life. So that was what I took away from Coach Johnson was I liked the coaching style and how they used our abilities to the fullest. and they knew how to tell us, and they knew how to get maximize our performance based off our athleticism.
Yeah. Coach Johnson was definitely an innovator um, in that regard and helping develop a lot of players. I mean, like not a lot of guys, went on to play pro ball. Some did get drafted, obviously, but it was the consistency that he had. It was attention to detail. He always stressed. He still believed in playing the small ball game, bunting, stealing bases, moving runners, in that regard. So 500 wins just speaks to everything that encapsulate him as a baseball coach, as a person. So the SWAC is lucky, and that's they're lucky to have him around. And transitioning into consistency, um, we kind of noticed the first couple of 4 weeks of the season. There's been a lot of big numbers in the box scores in terms of runs scored. This past weekend, we had Xavier University scored 39 runs against Texas College. Alcorn State, we documented their struggles all season. They've played multiple games where they've given up 20 or more runs. Um, Also, other teams have either scored more than 20 or given up more than 20 throughout the season. So, guys, like, why are we seeing this tremendous amount of runs being scored, not just double digit runs, but in the 20s and 30s, like football type scores so far this season?
I, me personally, I think it might be the gap between the talent in pitching from the number one all the way down to the last person that pitches. Like I said, everything's based off pitching. Your team's gonna have your one and twos going hard and stuff like that, but all teams don't have a one or two, a 1-2 punch and things like that. You play games throughout the week. Who's in the rotation? I just think that it comes all the way down to pitching. Whoever has the dominant pitcher, the teams that have dominant pitchers, you know, don't really have a lot of games where they get blowed out or it's a high scoring game. So I just think that there's a gap between dominant pitchers and your Johnny Ho staff and your middle of the road pitchers.
I think that's a great point, Thomas. Um, I truly believe that it's the lack of quality pitching. Um, Gremlin, for instance, we watched the last inning of the Gremlin game last night against LSU, and the guy that Gremlin brought in last night, he was 87 to 91. I want to say J.C. Bonilla, and he had the velocity, and I think he maybe gave up 2 or 3 hits, but you look at him from what he did last night, the kid he was a good pitcher. He was one of the better guys. But how many J.C. Bonillas does Grambling have on their staff?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He had a good off-speed pitch, good fastball, but we know they may have the Friday night guy is going to be the most legit guy they have, whether he's a velocity guy or he's a pitcher, because some guys that are velocity guys aren't necessarily pitchers. But they may have one guy they know they can bring out of the pen to give them to eat innings, and they may have one guy they know at the end can shut the door. Or that guy may be a combination of a long guy and a guy that shuts the door. It's that's the depth of pitching. And I also think that COVID year and with the recruiting and how the COVID affected recruiting, and also how some of those guys were able to come to campus last year before the season start, the lack of those reps can come back to bite you in the butt. So it could be a combination of things, but I just think it starts, like you said, Thomas, with the lack of depth of quality pitching.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna just jump on the pitching bandwagon too. It's the quality of the staffs. I mean, when you're giving up over close to over five innings, I mean 5 runs, inning. I mean, basically, your ERA is up there across the teams. Not accounting the errors that we've seen defensively wise. I mean, it's just the gap between those one and two starters or the one and twos that you have in the roster on your pitching staff and the rotation. I mean, they can't pitch every game. So you gotta rely on the middle of that order, and then on top of that, you gotta have that one stellar that stud arm in the back to be able to close the doors, so things won't get worse. But when you gotta put them in the middle of the ball game because everything's kind of getting a little drastic, I mean, you relying on arms that, to be honest, coaches have pitches that they just tailor that they know that they can't blow the ball past people. They those pitches that are put in on the mound and just put the ball in play. And when your defense ain't doing the job, or I mean those seeing out hits when the ball just find the gap. I mean, you can't do nothing about them. That defense you can't do nothing about it. I mean, your whole outfit can be a fly zone at that point. They can be diving trying to make the plays. So I mean, that pitching is the biggest element. I mean, it's part of the equation when you think about having a complete team. But yeah, it's the pitching that's got to stand up. And like you said, Ralph, it's that Kobe year. You could tell it messed up, kind of the traction that as far as training for the pitchers on top of recruiting. So, but I think we seeing just the beginning of the SWAC with the new evolution of the teams coming in into the SWAC, and we're gonna start seeing more and more pitchers stand out. This just may be the year where the pitching is just underdeveloped, and we seeing Page and Pooler. Those are the ones, or those are the studs that are kind of just setting themselves apart from the other pitchers. But yeah, I think as we get on down the years, pitching for the SWAC will start equaling what we're seeing at the plate from a lot of these teams, especially like Texas Southern and Alabama State at the plate.
Let me ask y'all this, fellas. Um, looking over the having looked over the ERAs for the league, we only have three teams that are under a 6-team ERA. How much do you all think that? Like, why do you think we have 9 teams in the league that has a team ERA of a 6 or higher?
It's a lack of depth throughout the staff. I mean, every team has one good pitcher, no matter how bad that team is. But if a team ERA is over 6, over 7, over 8, and in Alcorn's case, 17, there's no depth there. There you may have one arm and that's it. And so you having pitchers throwing 2 or 3 innings, giving up multiple runs per inning, and that over time they're going to wear out the staff. So you may have a weekend like we saw with Xavier. They scored 39 runs. Another weekend, Alcorn State gave up 70 runs in the series to Texas Southern, and so you're just taxing your pitching staff just by going through that experience. And so it's hard. It's hard to be consistent. It's hard to have confidence each time out if you know you're going to be in a situation where you're giving up 10 runs or more every game.
I agree.
How much percentage you think that is bad defense?
I mean, yeah, bad
versus
defense
good hitting
to it.
Bad
but like,
defense,
if you give up 30 runs,
pitching.
it's not going to be all errors.
Yeah, it's not gonna be ours.
Right.
Yeah, because at some point a pitcher got to pitch around those mistakes. As unfair as it is, you got to get guys out, and they're not doing that in these games.
But do you think it's better hitting too as well? Even though we're putting it all on pitching, do you congratulate the better hitters, or you think it's better hitting?
Of course, you have to applaud the hitting because I don't care what he throw up there as a hitter, you still have to hit it.
Right.
His job is to get you out. It's not, so whether he's throwing beach balls up there and getting you out, his job is to get you out. So yeah, you got to give a hitter some credit for also doing their job. So
we're gonna say bad pitching or good hitting?
It's a combination, and also it's a little bit of defense because we've seen some games where they had 9 errors combined in the game, between the teams. So I think it's a little bit of better hitting, pitching not being where it needs to be, and also some of it is defense. Because sitting here looking at it, we got one team in the league with 70 errors already. So,
that's like extra pitches in the inning for a pitcher, more opportunities for that pitcher to make a mistake.
Right,
It's
extra
working through the lineup.
outs.
Yeah,
it's all of that.
Yeah.
Because you always know, Tony, when we get ready to talk about the game or something, your favorite question: how many errors? When was the error? What was the situation of the error? Because it matters. It makes a difference. That error in the first inning that you miss with 2 outs, and it's the third batter, he hit the ball to the third baseman, and he airmailed it over the first baseman head. That ain't the same error that he does that with bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th in the tie game. That ain't the same error.
Yeah, there's different pressure on the pitcher.
Right. That's not the same error because now it's 2 runs scored, possibly 3, depending on where the ball go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But Slim, I say I'm probably like at 45 to 55% as far as if you scale pitching versus good hitting. Yeah. I say right now, I say 45% is pitching, but 55%. I think it's been some good hitting performances. But I don't know.
I believe we getting more monster hitting numbers than we are pitching numbers.
Yeah,
we
that's
ain't
true.
Seeing too many complete games, but we seeing some 10 RBI weekends out of a single batter.
True.
Right.
True.
Yeah, I see Ralph is yawning. That's a universal signal. We got to move on. So we're gonna do our favorite segment, one that I'm always excited about doing every week, which is the pick'ems. It determines like who really knows baseball on this panel and who doesn't. So show them the numbers, Ralph.
Oh Lord, have mercy, God! In the world.
Somebody should have been on vacation.
All right.
I'll let you have it, Slim.
Yeah, so we're gonna recap our weekend. I went 5-1. Watts 5-1. Thomas Black, oh boy. We gonna say how Wire did that to you. He went 2-4 last week.
Yeah, your head wasn't in the game, man.
Yeah. Ralph Zizi went 5-1. Overall, I'm 15-7. Watts is 15-7. Thomas Black under 500. Ralph Zizi, he's above 500, doing well. So all of us are still in the game, despite what happened last weekend.
I'm going.
Yeah, interesting.
Nah, Slim. That's just that JJ, man. I had that 3P catfish from JJ, man. That's all that is.
So, out of these matchups, what surprised y'all the most, though? Based off of your picks?
Not based off the picks, but based off watching the games. The Bethune and Valley series was that was a back and forth battle. All the way down to the final game on Sunday. That series was an extremely close series. Valley played them tough.
Yeah.
Very competitive series that was.
Like tough. Valley had the lead in game 3 and Bethune came back and took it. So that series right there, Valley showed me a lot.
I hear that, Valley. You almost took that one.
So now this week, fellas, we are on to pick them. So this week, here are our games for this week. We have either in-state rivalries or we have border wars in the SWAC. So this is rivalry week. This is rivalry week. We have the Magic City Classic between Alabama A&M and Alabama State. We just gonna call this Jackson State beat up on Valley like always classic.
Not this year though. No, hey, before we start laughing, it better be.
It better be, but
it better be.
With fam in Bethune, we have the Florida Classic.
Yep.
UAPB and Grambling. Hey, that's a border war. Southern Alcorn is a border war, and the Battle of Texas between Texas Southern and Prairie View. So, first up on Pick'em, we have Alabama A&M, Alabama State. You know what to do. Pick 'em.
I'm riding Alabama State.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be with someone.
You say Alabama State 2 watts?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Alabama State.
I'm going with the Honeybees as well.
Y'all all picking Alabama State, I see.
It only makes sense, sir.
I'm not gonna go against the grain like Thomas Brown does. I'm gonna pick Alabama State.
Oh, I'm not going against the grain this week. You can't really. I'm already in the hole.
That was a bad philosophy there, my boy. I said you a win or two. We can make a trade for some Bitcoin.
No.
NFTs.
I don't even want Bitcoin.
You get where I'm going with that. We'll make a crypto change.
No,
all right.
Good.
Next up, the Battle of 49. Mississippi Valley and Jackson State. You know what to do. Pick them.
I ain't picking itty bitty. So
itty bitty.
All right, I got you, Black. Now, this is our first conference series at home this year. We haven't played a conference series at home yet. This is our first
one. That's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with that being the factor right there. Of course, we finally at home, and we'll go ahead and take this series. It should be a sweep. I hope and pray it's a sweep, but I'm gonna go with Jackson State on this one.
I'm going with the Jackson State Tigers.
I don't know, guys. Mississippi Valley, they played Bethune-Cookman really tough last week, and Bethune-Cookman is one of the better teams in the league. And Jackson State's reeling. I mean, I don't know, man. It might be the first time ever, man. I picked Valley, man. Like, J State has been too inconsistent this season, man, to know what they're gonna do from week to week. I'm a pick Jackson State for loyalty purposes.
No.
It wouldn't surprise me if Valley won this series, though. Seriously, it wouldn't surprise me if Valley won.
You can't talk all in and talk about I'm gonna go with loyalty. How you gonna talk down?
Look, man, I have to do what's best for me. You got to do what's best for you. So I'm picking Jackson State, but I'm not too convinced about it though. Just based on the way they've been playing this season.
It's your pick, man. What you going with, Valley?
I'm going with Jackson State.
No, he ride with Jackson.
Sound like you want to go with Valley. Valley want to go with Valley. Yeah.
So now we have the Florida Classic.
Man, that's rough. Man.
You know what to do. Pick them.
I'm going Bethune-Cookman, man.
You going BC?
Yep.
I'm losing. I can't ride with you, Slim. I'm going Fam.
Hey, man, you got to roll with me. I'm a winner. You got to roll with me, man. I'm in first place. You not. So think wisely, man.
That boy
you know your baseball, Slim. You know, just like a coach. The best coaches are the ones that didn't play.
That's a low blow, man. That's a low blow.
You throwing darts, he throwing low blow, boy. Y'all ain't right. Y'all ain't right.
Y'all ain't right.
If you stop playing, you don't know the game.
No, but see, you took it the wrong way, Slim. You're a pitcher. You only pitch once every 4 or 5 days.
That's just like not playing, though.
See, y'all took it there. I'm talking about being a pitcher, being out there in the bullpen. You watch a lot of baseball.
Hey, Watts, who you got, Watts?
With a,
Who you got,
all
Watts?
right, so all right, so
Nobody getting slapped tonight. I see. Okay.
this is an interesting matchup because to go based off of Slim logic, Valley did play tough against Bethune Cookman, but Valley also saw FAMU and got beat. Exactly, got swept. So I think that Bethune has been consistent. FAMU has been up and down, but I think FAM's going back up now. Yeah, with this one, I'm gonna flip a coin, but I'm gonna go with FAMU. I'm gonna go with FAMU. I got bring this little gap between me and Slim a little further now. I'm gonna go with FAMU.
All right, these old MEAC rivals. I think they're gonna knock each other out. They're gonna have some tightly contested games. I don't see a sweep, but I see Bethune winning a close series because I just think Bethune's starting rotation is better than FAM's. And I also think Bethune's bottom of the lineup is better. With the right fielder, Fabulous, that little dude down in the 8-hole, man, he caused some problems. He probably be a leadoff hitter on a lot of other teams. And just that rotation that they have, man, I think this is going to be a tightly contested series. I think Bethune is going to win this one. I wouldn't be surprised if FAM did because it's a rivalry. You never know what rivalry is going to happen. But on wax, I'm going with Bethune.
You said you waxed?
On the wax.
Okay. Just making sure.
Rappy getting that Brazilian. No.
All right, next up, we have UAPB and Grambling. You know what to do. Pick them.
Grambling got better pitching, man, I think. I'm going to go with Grambling.
Oh Lord, I wrote down the wrong thing. I wrote down UAB by your name, Thomas.
I picked them consistently for the last 3 weeks.
There go Slim with the internet starting to act crazy now.
Nah.
He didn't want to make that pick.
The plug that got put Slim. You been on too long. Time to go to bed, baby.
Hey, you running from this pick, Slim?
Man, I don't want to make this pick because I'm not so certain about I'm gonna be right. Yeah, I guess I'll go with Grambling.
All right.
All right. I just gotta ask myself this eternal question: has Arkansas Pine Bluff won any series this year? Anybody can answer that question?
I don't think they have.
All right, I'm going Grambling. That's the only. It's because their numbers look good and everything, but it's a hard decision. But Grambling
make this a clean sweep for Grambling. I think Grambling just playing better baseball right now with Garcia, Cam Buford, Mr. Page. Just think those guys are playing some good baseball right now, and I'm gonna ride with Grand Fam. Next up, we have Southern and Alcorn.
I think this is going to be across the board. We don't even have to go through those picks. You can just put down what everybody going to choose. Unless Slim got something to say. Slim got something to say.
I was going to say, man, just put all our faces next to Southern, man.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought you had some new Sherlock Holmes theory or something.
Now, with the deduction of the wind, my good fellow, I wanted to tell you today. Okay, all right. And
Cheerio.
we have the Battle of Texas. Still tipping on 4 votes.
I'm going Texas Southern. I believe in them.
Somebody got to believe it.
Who you got, Slim?
I'm going with first place Prairie View, man.
You going with Prairie View? Who you got, Watts?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Prairie View, man. The bat's hot for both teams, but the pitching might be a little bit better for Prairie View. So I'm gonna go Prairie View.
Purple and gold are my favorite colors, but I ain't an oat maker. I'm gonna have to go with Texas Southern. I think this gonna be the weekend. Gabe Vasquez, Mr. Cooper, and Mr. Thompson get it back going, and I'm gonna go with Texas Southern. I'm going with Texas Southern. This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting.
This is gonna be an interesting pick 'em week. Interesting. So, guys, what's the matchups, y'all? What y'all really think about these weekend series? How y'all think they really gonna turn out?
I don't want no sweeps.
Oh,
This
between
rivalry week, I don't think it is.
it was 18 sweeps last week.
Yeah,
Between the teams that we cover, it was
Mhm.
18 series sweeps.
that's not a
18.
good weekend. That's not a good weekend for us.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying between Division II, NAIA, Division I, HBCU.
No, I'm just talking about as a show. As a
Yeah,
show,
18
sweeps is
sweeps.
not good for us.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be one sweep this weekend. We know some are going to sweep Alcorn.
Do we know that though?
We do know that.
How do we know that?
That's what they do.
Have you not seen the way Alcorn's played this year?
Still got to play the game.
All right. So they're 1-8 in conference. They're 1-17 overall. You think they got a chance not to be swept?
Still have to play the game.
I understand that. It's baseball. Things happen, but still, man, like they got enough. They got a big enough sample size for you to determine the likelihood of them winning a game isn't very high.
Not if Southern pitched the way they did last weekend, no.
They're not facing the same caliber team, though.
Yeah.
Then there's that. But no, I just said if Southern pitches the way they did last week, Alcorn don't have a chance.
Yeah,
So they got a lot of they got a lot of degree for error this weekend to still be able to get a sweep. Let's put it that way. In comparison. Yeah.
So with that, fellas, we've reached the end of another great show.
All right.
Hallelujah, Black. Hallelujah, Black and Anniversary Slim back.
Both glowing.
Right.
I'm glowing from the sun.
I'm going from this light above my head, but
Right.
I'm taking nonetheless.
Oh.
Hey, just for fans to know, we're working on getting some clearances so we can have some interviews with some of the coaches in the next 2 weeks. So we're waiting on some clearances from a couple of school SIDs. And we're going to have you some guests on here, some coaches, so we can get some insight into some of these programs and also learn more about some of the players, because it's all about exposing HBCU baseball. So after another great show, it's the boys on the hill.
All right, fellas.
Love y'all boys, man.
Love y'all, man.
All right. Take it easy, boys.
Peace.